tougher than I thought I would be.
That's it, I was going to say you are.
Nice case, isn't it?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Good case, that.
Yeah.
We were meant to be just not made of last. We were meant to be just not made of last. Honestly, I had no idea what I was missing from my guitar learning journey until I walked into the guitar store last weekend. I think that there are a ton of people in this world who have some cheap ass guitar gathering dust in the corner of their room and have some kind of resentful relationship with it, because every time they pick it up with good intentions, they realize they can't really get very far with it and then just put it down again for another year. That was me. Every single time I picked it up, I felt frustrated to the point where I just reinforced this relationship with the guitar that it's a hard instrument to learn and it's too much effort and it's not worth it, and all these kind of feelings just through basic reinforcement, really. I think every beginner guitarist should just buy a premium guitar if you can afford it from the start. It could be the difference between actually wanting to learn guitar and just giving up. Having got to sit down and play so many different guitars, it just made me wonder, where would I be today if I had a premium quality guitar from when I was 16 instead of some cheap £50 guitar that was hard to play and uninspiring and kind of stressful, actually. Whatever kind of technical word you want to use to describe the feeling and the experience of using the thing is so different from a cheap guitar. The thing that surprised me the most, that I genuinely didn't expect at all, is to do with the fact that when you pick up a nice guitar and you try and play it, you feel inspired. There is no denying that this is an expressive art form, and so the way that you pick a guitar is kind of expressive too, and kind of an art form as well. I was very gravitated to the feel of this guitar, everything about it, the shape, the sound, the touch, and that's kind of played a bigger role in my decision making than I could have possibly imagined. Here's another thing that's not obvious about the difference between the guitars, and that's the material, because I guess when you walk into a shop they all kind of look like wood. This one is a spruce front and a rosewood back. You can get mahogany, you can get birch, there are various other different materials. Spruce is very common. You can also buy guitars which just have a solid wood front and laminate back, so that's be cheaper. The fully wooden guitars genuinely feel a bit like a work of art. They are very beautiful sounding, they're more delicate, and that's really what sets them apart, is the material. It's not to say that the cheap guitars don't still produce nice sounds. It's just to say that I think when you get to a certain point, you'll start to really notice the difference in your guitar learning journey, and I'm so here for it. Another thing is that I hadn't quite realized how much I was being limited by the size of the guitar. I think the largest size is called a jumbo, and then the second largest is called a grand auditorium, and then the third largest is called a dreadnought, which is what I have in all my previous videos, a turquoise guitar. And it's a pretty large guitar, which means it's great for singer-songwriters because it's loud and the audience can hear it and everything, but it is big, and it's like I felt like I was bouldering over it and it was affecting my strumming a little bit. So when I picked up this guitar, which is a further size down, I believe it's the size is called OM or orchestra. It has various names, but it's just a little bit smaller once again, and it feels more comfortable on my lap. It feels more comfortable with my arm around it, and I just immediately felt an increased sense of confidence with the object. It goes even smaller, so there's the parlor guitar, which is the tiniest one, and that one's like the kind of guitar that people play bluesy music sat on like a footstep of like some hot country, and that may well be your preference. So that's my spiel, and I hope that I have convinced at least one person to try and get back into guitar if they feel a little bit disillusioned by it, and to try again. Just go to a guitar shop, pick up some guitars and see how they feel. The front of the shop from the entrance will normally house the cheap budget range of guitars, anything from like maybe £100 to £500 in the UK. And what you'll notice with all those guitars is that the strings are quite far away from the fretboard. They're not impossible to play, they're just hard to play. And because they're hard to play, that limits your progress, because you can't play the note clearly or as quickly compared to the more premium guitars, which are quite flush with the fretboard. Premium guitars tend to be further in the shop, and sometimes they're even housed in a separate room, so that it allows a little bit of privacy for people who are a bit more serious to be able to sit down and practice and play with different instruments. So it's almost like social zones within a guitar shop. I literally can't think of any reason why a person shouldn't invest in this if they knew that they wanted to be that kind of person that could have a fun old strum 20 years down the line. It's never too late to start. You don't need to have mastered how to play guitar in university or high school to pick it up. You can pick it up later in life and find so much joy out of it, like I have. And the pandemic specifically brought about those circumstances with me, with the lockdowns and stuff. But whatever the reason is, it is absolutely worth it. Let me know if you have any questions about this guitar. The brand name is Faith. It is a British brand. I've decided to call her Faith as well because it felt very fitting, and it reminded me of this TV show character in a show that I used to like when I was a kid, a vampire slayer called Faith. So a kick-ass woman, basically. So yeah, that's basically it. And yeah, thanks for listening. I hope you have a great week. Over and out.